So I recently watched Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Just like, Jesus, people. If you're going to complain about these movies, don't go see them. Anyway, Ant-Man 3, aka that movie where the broccoli meme is in. Now I care about the MCU. I have always. Since I was little and my dad took me to, I think, the original Ant-Man. I've always cared about this series. But recently I did a Marvel binge with my friend, and I realized how samey each of these movies are, and I don't think there's a better example than this movie. But let me say something real quick. Phase 4 is really hated, and people are constantly saying it's the downfall of the MCU. And I can't deny that there hasn't been a lot of quantity. There's been a lot of movies and TV shows right now, and I guess video games to an extent. But I think we shouldn't just be saying that because there's a lot, it's all bad, because we've had a lot of quality. No Way Home, Shang-Chi, Loki, Hawkeye, and Wakanda Forever, which I haven't watched, but I heard, and I know it's good. But while I feel like we shouldn't constantly say how much trash there is, I do think we need to go back to 1 to 2 movies a year and a TV show in the middle to keep it balanced. But sorry, I know this is a review, so let's get there. Let's talk about how Ant-Man 3 is mediocre. God damn it, I spent all this time defending just to complain. But sadly, yes, this movie isn't great. But I want to point out that it's not bad. It's just mediocre. But first off, let's get to the negatives, of which there are a couple. The writing isn't great. I know the MCU is very obvious, but I don't know if I'm just avoiding paying attention at the other movies, or if this movie just really, really showed me how lazy these writers can be by just explaining everything. There's nothing left to the imagination ever. They need to spell out everything, which is normal for the MCU, but it doesn't help when their dialogue is terrible. Normally in the MCU, the jokes are cringe, but even some of the dialogue here is like cringy and bad and feels like a joke, but it was half-baked, so they just didn't get it all the way through. Also, I want to explain this review is like completely spoilers, so if you don't want to hear spoilers, then just click off now. It's not worth staying. Early on, they pick up Cassie from jail, and Scott is like, I want you to have a normal life, daughter. And she is like, Dad, when I was 6, a man showed up in my room and shrunk in my room. I've never had a normal life. Which, oh my god, just thinking about it. Oh, fuck, this is not even the script. It's like fucking, oh my god, Jesus. Like, it's supposed to come off as sweet, but it's just not. Or when coming to comedy, when MODOK is at like the very end of the movie, Cassie and him have a fight, and he just screams, going towards Kang, I'm not a dick, I'm not a, like, they fucked up MODOK bad. We will get to MODOK later, though, because I have something to say about him that I think is pretty funny. Now, I don't want to throw shade. Acting is hard, and I am not an actor, so there is nothing I can compliment here, but Cassie's actress could just not land jokes. Like, a lot of her dialogue is delivered weirdly, but maybe that's her character, or she's just had the worst script ever in this movie, which I think is true, because her actress is pretty good from what I've heard. Also, we've got some weird and serious pacing issues. The beginning is way too short. When they get sucked into the quantum realm, I realized the scene from the trailer, and I was like, holy shit, we're already here? And it takes them forever to do anything in the quantum realm. They just, like, walk around for, like, the first 20 minutes they're in there. Scott and Cassie walk around forever, and then meet these Raider dudes, or, like, this, like, knockoff Valkyrie. I don't know. And then they get captured by them. And then we cut to the pimps. That's what I'm going to call them, because I don't really remember their names right now. Real quick intermission, it's dinner time. We got some white people raviolis and some white people garlic bread. That shit is really good. Also, quick complaint. Janet, for the love of God, tell everyone what the fuck is going on. They are in the quantum realm. Stop trying to protect that. And the Pims meet these other Raider guys and go to a bar. And I'm not kidding you. them, what the fuck did I write right here? What the fuck? I'm not kidding you, them traveling there. What the fuck? I'm not kidding you. Them traveling there was so slow. They left, and I went to fill up my, I went to buy a beer, and it was, fine. I was filling up my slushie, and it took forever. One machine was broken, and only liquid came out of it, so I had to pour it out, and then the lid didn't want to go on, and it took a while. It took like 3 minutes, and I come back and missed nothing. They had just arrived at the bar, which they were going to. The pacing is so slow and bad. How do you have this beginning that is like 8 minutes long, and then like somehow they're flying to this bar for like 3 minutes? Also, Scott and Cassie finally arrive at this camp, and then they're like, drink the juice, Scott. You need to drink this juice. And then he's like, no, I don't want to drink the juice. And then he drinks it, and it cuts away. And then we have an 8-minute scene at this bar that we just arrived at like 2 minutes ago, man. Come on, like, stick to one part. I'm sorry, I keep having intermissions, but I'm looking at my script right now, and I tend to, like, just make up new things on the fly, because, like, I'd sometimes when I'm, like, speaking, they sound better than what I write down, but I have no clue what I wrote here. I wrote this, like, 9 p.m. the other week. It says, it cuts away to, like, a 8-minute scene at the bar, so life, What? What do you mean past me? What are you talking about? Okay, positive. The cameos are great. Bill Murray shows up, and it made me giggle. I was like, holy shit, it's Bill Murray, and it got me. And then William Jackson Harper showed up, and I was like, oh my god, that's Chidi. Which, you know, good to know I love The Good Place, and I don't know the actor's name. Also, his jokes were super funny with him reading minds. I don't remember his name, but they were super funny. The Quantum Realm looks really good. Like, the CGI in the Quantum Realm is amazing. I love the look of the big city in this mini place. Like, Kang City is awesome, and, like, super detailed, and, like, just, like, the Quantum Realm, like, goopy insides looks cool. Kang is great. The only thing that bothers me is the fact that they made him pretty basic. Also, that stupid fight near the end, which was just padding. Like, the movie, like, they were obviously just padding for 2 hours, but still. I said I was going to be positive. I'm going to stick to the positives. Yeah, Kang is good, but they also already nailed him in Loki, so I guess that solves it. He was already perfectly casted, but I'm excited to see him grow as, like, the main villain of this new generation of the MCU, and I hope he rematches Thanos. I hope he matches Thanos in his, like, just demeanor one day. Paul Rudd still kills it as Scott, which he has done since the first, so good to see he's still amazing at this role. Also, he's, like, the only one who can take up a lame joke in these movies and make them funny because of just the way he, like, says them. It's hilarious. The Counts of Kangs is a great setup. I'm really excited to see him in the next couple of movies. Like I said with Kang, I think that they're really doing a good job with him. And some shots were nice, but mainly like when they were just doing scenery shots of the Quantum Realm. But I remember there was like one of the first shots in the movie is when Kang arrives into the Quantum Realm at Janet's like farm, and there's like a really pretty like wide shot of like her just inspecting, which is something you don't see in the MCU a ton. They don't really have very varied shot. They kind of just stick to like static shots. Speaking of Janet and Kang, the scene where they like just talk, like there's like a 10-minute exposition scene where like Janet is recalling on why Kang is so bad, and it's probably the best scene in this movie. There's like no lame jokes or anything. It's really cool to see like these two become friends. You know, Janet was alone for so many years. So it was super long, and it like just kept going and going, and then the reveal of Kang's evilness was really good, and it felt earned because I like even in that like 10 minutes I felt like they become like super good friends. And that's probably it. The aspects I like of this movie are good, so it kind of counteracts the more negatives. I have more negatives than positives, but there are better positives. At the end of the day, the Marvel movies are still making so much money, so they are not going to end anytime soon. And while I didn't enjoy this movie, I hope there is a kid who watches this movie and ends up loving the MCU just like I did back in like the original Ant-Man. And you know, it just makes me happy to think of that. So this movie was going to be a 5 out of 10. I have been bashing on it kind of this entire review, but it does feature the internet funny man Jay Schlatt. So this movie is actually a 10 out of 10. Let's